Right. Oh. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Red Bull Ring for the second race of the weekend for the KTM Crossbow Battle here at the hillside region of Austria. A scenic circuit and one that has already produced a fantastic race yesterday afternoon, and we're hoping for more of the same in today's 25-minute second race of the weekend. 4.3 kilometres, the length of the circuit. The track temperature is warmer now than it's been at any point this weekend. 26 degrees, getting pretty close to where it was yesterday. Andy McEwen up here in the commentary box, Manfred Wolf alongside me from KTM. And Manfred, this is a really exciting championship. Slightly smaller grid numbers this year than we're used to seeing, but the racing is still absolutely fantastic, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is. Hello and welcome also from my side. Great to be here and great to see our cars on beautiful Red Bull Ring. It's our home soil. And as you already mentioned, we are used to have grid size around 25-30 cars during the last years, but as everybody knows, this year is a special one and a very difficult one. So unfortunately a little bit smaller starting grid, but seeing the race yesterday, you saw that it was really good action, lots of overtaking and exciting racing, so I hope for the same today.
Here is how the grid lines up then for the first race. It's Chris Rosenberger on pole position with Bob Baur alongside him, and then the rest all lining in behind. Three different classes officially. There is the one GT4 car, which has been pretty tough to beat so far this weekend. Then you have the elite class, which has 4 drivers. Bob Baur was the winner in that class yesterday. The majority of the field, though, is made up by the Crossbow Cup Europe part of the race. And yesterday it was Rick Boothorn who took the victory and narrowed the gap to championship leader Jan Ries, who could only manage third position. There is just 1 point between them, and it's quite a short season this year for obvious reasons, so the points are more important than ever now.
Yeah, just one thing, we had some excitement after the race yesterday because the race control identified, I think, 3 drivers that quite often been aside the track and ignored track limits. So Rick was put back to P3 and it was Leon Wasserteurer who was declared winner yesterday in front of Jan Ries, and then Rick Boothorn 3rd and Tamino Bergmeier 4th. So a little bit of a change that was yesterday after the race, unfortunately. But I think today everybody knows what the track limit is and will stick to it, hopefully.
Well, that's the theory, but that's been a common theme all weekend here. It's so tempting to run out wide over those curbs, and you can gain quite a lot of time from doing it. So if you think you can get away with it, then maybe it's worth doing. The race yesterday was very entertaining. The elite class cars at the front of the field, all very equal actually. We saw a lot of overtaking between them, and it was much the same in the Cup Europe part of the race as well. Close competition, and that's really what KTM want from this championship.
Absolutely. There is, as you already mentioned, only one GT4 car. I mean, the GT4 car is the car for international racing. It's not so much for one make series racing, but we included it anyway as it's a KTM product. But the elite class is the class that everything started with 11 years ago, and it's still there and still going strong and delivering exciting racing. 360 horsepower, just like in the GT4 car, which is a little bit in advantage here at Red Bull Ring, as you got 3 braking zones where you're really hammering the brakes, and as the GT4 cars got ABS and the other cars don't, so you have a little bit of an advantage in the GT4 car. And then finally the Crossbow Cup Europe cars, 300 horsepower, spec racing, because the cars are owned by KTM and prepared by KTM, and the drivers draw their cars when they arrive for the racing weekend, so it's absolutely fair racing and motorsports.
Yeah, which means it's all down to the drivers, and they need to be able to get the better of the opposition without using sort of setup trickery to find an edge out on track. So it all comes down to the racing, essentially. Well, the formation lap is about to get underway. It's a 25-minute race, as was the case yesterday, and the track temperature out there is going to cause a few problems, I think, with tyre wear, and I did wonder whether maybe some of the cars might suffer from tyre wear yesterday. It's a tough circuit on the tyres, lots of high-speed corners in the middle sector. It's quite abrasive as well, and the GT4 car, I'm guessing, is a little heavier maybe than the others. Does that have an effect on tyre wear at all?
It is, but on the other hand, it has the biggest tire size of all the cars, so the tires are quite oversized for the car. So you need to work with the ABS to get temperature in the tire. So I think the GT4 shouldn't have a problem with tire wear. Also, tire numbers are limited, so it's 2 sets per weekend for the GT4 and the Elite Class cars, and just 1 set for the Crossbow Cup Europe starters, but they start the weekend in the free practice with a used set from the last event. So, and then before the first qualifying, we go to the new set of tires. But as you mentioned, especially in the Crossbow Cup Europe class, it will be interesting to see how the tire wear develops throughout the race. And I think if you're good with tire management, you can have an advantage here, especially as temperatures are quite high today.
Yes, and as evenly matched as the cars are, if any way you can get an advantage on the opposition, it could come in really handy towards the end of the race. So maybe pace yourself in the first half and try to come on strong in the latter half. Chris Rosenberger then in that GT4 car on the pole position, Bob Bauer alongside him in the elite car. And as we saw yesterday, those elite class cars are more than capable of challenging the GT4 for the race lead, and indeed Bob Bauer, Joseph Koller, even George Silbermeyer were all up there challenging for the lead at one point or another yesterday, and it was a very entertaining race, particularly for Christian Schaffer, wasn't it? Because he was second place, he was chasing down the race leader, and then he had that spin and almost caught back up again. I think if he'd have had another 2 or 3 laps, he might still have had a chance of winning.
And this was very surprisingly for me, because Christian just joined the Crossbow Battle last year, so he's quite new to the series, and as well quite new to racing. But he developed really cool together with his team CCS Racing. They did a great job, and he was absolutely in the position to win the race yesterday. But as you mentioned, with a mistake out of the third corner, he dropped back and then finally regained some spots, but it wasn't just enough for his first win. So let's see if maybe he can do it today. Would be really interesting.
Yeah, well, he's definitely got the speed, but just needs to be a bit careful. He was catching the leader at the time that he had that spin, and just put a wheel on the grass coming out of turn 4, and around he went. Well, it's a rolling start in the KTM Crossbow Battle, as it was yesterday. And so they're in 2x2 formation coming through the final corner. The GT4 car of Chris Rosenberger, the red machine, on pole position. Alongside him, the number 1 machine of Bob Bauer, the championship leader in the elite class, with all 3 race victories so far in that class to his name. The lights go out, away they go. It's a good start made by Christian Schaffer in the green machine from row number 2. Pulls alongside Bob Bauer to challenge for second place. Rosenberger has the lead into turn number 1. Who gets second? It might just be Schaffer. No, he ends up out over the curb. And so I think it should still be Bob Bauer in second. Schaffer third, though, is ahead of Josef Koller, and in fact he is still challenging for that P2 as they run up the hill through turn 2 and in towards the braking zone at turn 3, and yes, he's gone through into second place. So Christian Schaffer immediately on the attack. He's into P2 and he's going to try and chase after the race leaders.
There is again the fight for the first position in the Crossbow Cup Europe between Tamino Bergmeier and Rick Boothorn as yesterday. So Rick has gone through. Hopefully Tamino doesn't make the same mistake as yesterday when he braked here too late in the third corner, but he can make it stick, and they are already gone a little bit from the rest of the Crossbow Cup Europe cars, as we can see here. One is wide. Who's this?
Daniel Drexel, possibly, 94.
Oh, yeah. Daniel got wide on the exit, and yeah, it's a long way back the field now for him.
Yeah, he had to go right round the outside of the gravel track to find his way back on. So yeah, I think that was the 94 car that is dropping down the order. So the first lap about to be completed then. It looks like Jan Ries is third in the Cup Europe part of the race, so he is running strongly again, the championship leader, as already at the head of the field. Christian Schaffer is chasing after Chris Rosenberger, looks a bit quicker at the moment, and he is catching fairly quickly. He was the fastest car in the race yesterday. Had it not been for the spin, he probably would have won. Bob Bauer is defending his third place there from George Silbermeyer as they go across the line as well, and 1 or 2 transponders not quite working, so we'll get a proper idea of the order in a moment or two. Sliding wide there, the number 91 machine of Leon Wasatura going out of turn 1. And now the timing screen gives us the order. So Rosenberger leads, Schaffer second, Bau third, Silbermeyer fourth, Josef Koller fifth, and those three are pretty close together. And then, as Manfred was saying, it is Rick Boothorn who has the lead in the Crossbow Cup Europe class.
It's quite interesting, as Tamino was fastest in both qualifyings, and at the start of the race it's always Rick who's going through. So really looking forward how this one will develop between those two. And quite interesting that Jan as well as Leon, they're both experienced. They drove the Crossbow Cup Europe already last year. Tamino and Rick are the newcomers, and they were really up to speed at Slovakia Ring, and but they already dropped a little bit here after the first lap. So let's see if they can catch their opponents here.
Yeah, well, if the leaders start to battle with each other, that might help the others close in. You can see there how close it is for the class lead. It is still the 85 of Rick Boothorn ahead of 83 Tamino Bergmeier. And they're actually almost keeping up with the elite class cars at the moment as they race their way towards the end of the second lap of the race. Third place battle there on your screen. Bob Bau, who in yesterday's race had a slightly slow start and then kind of came on strong as the race went on. And we're seeing a similar thing here. Started on the front row, did the number 1 car, and he's dropped out to third, defending now from George Silbermeyer in the number 7 car. And George is in the slipstream now, heading out of turn 1. Might be able to have a go on the brakes into turn number 3, but again, you can see nobody really escaping here. The gaps are all pretty tight, and the sector times as well. You know, one driver is faster in sector 1, then another driver faster in sector 2. Battle for the lead there in the Cup Europe. Tamino Bergmeier thought about it, but it's early in the race yet. Doesn't want to take too many risks.
Absolutely, and as you mentioned, Bob Bau, he's one of the most experienced drivers. He started his first crossbow battle race 11 years ago, so he was really one of the drivers that started at the very first race at Salzburg Ring back then, and he's still with us, so racing and also winning. He was the one to beat on Slovakia Ring, and he's also, I think, leading the Elite Championship.
Yeah, he is. He's unbeaten so far in the elite class, so he's 10 points ahead of George Silbermeyer, who of course is right behind him on the track, so that's quite a significant battle, as is this one. And Rick Boothorn looking to try and make up then for the penalty that he got yesterday. He won the race on the road, was demoted to third place as a result of the penalty for track limits, and it's this part of the circuit where everybody's been running too wide, but they keep it nice and neat out of turn number 9, and the same hopefully through turn 10 as the race leaders blast back across the start finish line. Fastest lap is set by Josef Koller, the orange car, in 5th position, and he is catching, therefore, the back of the Bob Bau and George Silbermeyer scrap. Josef was impressive yesterday, had some really good speed throughout the course of the race. He was unlucky, I thought, to end up at the back of the elite field.
Yeah, absolutely. Josef is already quite experienced driver in crossbow battle, and now he's going for the position of Georg Silbermeyer. Can he make it stick? Oh, late on the brakes, both drivers. A little bit of a locked wheel on Georg's car. Maybe he can work it out until turn 3.
Yeah, came off the corner quite well there, so Josef Koller has to stay behind for now, but he does look a little bit quicker, and of course Silbermeyer just locked a brake into turn number 3 as well, which will have put him out of his rhythm a little bit. Chris Rosenberger is getting away here. He seems to have better pace in this second race, and of course, unlike the Crossbow Cup Europe cars, the Elite and GT4 car, they can tweak the setup and they can learn as the weekend goes on, and that car definitely looks quicker now than it was yesterday.
Exactly. I mean, Chris is a former Austrian rally champion. He also drove a Rally World Championship like 15-20 years ago, and he's once in a while doing closed circuit racing now, but he's a very experienced driver, but he doesn't do it all the time, so for sure he learns a lot during the weekend and gets faster, and that's maybe what you can see now, is that he pulls away a little bit.
Yeah, well, Rick Boothorn though is not pulling away from Tamino Bergmeier. This scrap for the class lead is still going on. They're about 2 seconds now ahead of Jan Ries in third place, and Leon Bossachura right behind him. That's that battle there between the 86 and the 91 car. Leon was of course, second on the road yesterday.
Josef Koller is at it again against Georg Silbermeier, now on the outside, but that also doesn't work, I think.
Yeah, tried the outside that time and still can't find a way through. It's quite difficult to overtake another car that is exactly the same as yours. Look at the way the lead battle, though, has suddenly lit up. Christian Schaffer quicker than Chris Rosenberger in the first sector by a couple of tenths. It was the fastest first sector of anybody for the second place car.
And Bob Bau is also closing in.
Yes, he is. So the top three covered by 1.2 seconds. So just as in yesterday's race, it's all compressing together as we head into the middle part of the race. So where is the big advantage then for the GT4 car over the elite cars? Where can Christian Schaffer maybe try and find a way past Rosenberg?
I think the elite cars, they are some 200 kilograms lighter than the GT4 car. Nevertheless, the GT4 car with the ABS is better on the braking after the long straights here, but in the middle part, normally you should have an advantage with the lighter elite class car.
Oh, spin there! That's
yeah.
Bob Bau. Bob Bau from third.
Thankfully, outside the track.
Oh dear, he will not be happy. Yeah, back in fifth
but
place.
I think he has a flat tire. I think he has a flat tire.
Okay, we'll have a look at that then if we can. He's fallen to the back of the elite field. Now, meanwhile, Josef Koller and Georg Silbermeier. Yeah, and this time he might do it. He's got the inside line. He might go through here.
Yeah, it looks good. I think he's past Georg Silbermeier now.
Yep, so onto the brakes into turn 3, and he goes through. So Josef does now get into a podium place, but then runs a bit wide and hands it straight back again to Silbermeier. All of that hard work to get the inside line, and he's made a mistake.
Yeah, everything's lost again because now Georg Silbermeier is in advantage for the next corner, so that wasn't enough. But let's see, Bob Bau has dropped back to 9th place, and I'm afraid that he is, there we see the spin.
So, do we think the right rear maybe is... Oh,
I
yes,
think the right rear is gone, yeah.
Yeah, so either a puncture or suspension failure, then probably a puncture, you'd imagine, from maybe hitting a curb too hard. If you hit the curbs when the tyre pressures are low, you can quite often do some damage then, can't you?
And it's, especially here at the Red Bull Ring, also for our cars, the sausage curbs are quite a problem, especially the ones on the outside of the first corner. We break quite a lot of rims there, so it's maybe the reason is one sausage curb for the tyre failure at Bob Bau.
Right, well, he's going to have to come into the pit lane then to get that changed. He's fallen right to the back of the field now. All of the Crossbow Cup Europe cars are going ahead of him as well. So this is now the fight for a podium place then between Georg Silbermeier and Josef Koller, and these are the last two elite cars then still running basically, with Bob Bau down the order. In Crossbow Cup Europe, it's still Buthorn ahead of Bergmeier by 7/10 of a second now. Jan Ries is 2.8 seconds behind them, with Mossachura and Stefan Ramster rounding out the top 5. 6 laps completed then, onto the 7th lap of this 25-minute race, already heading towards the halfway distance. And that moment for Bob Bau has kind of split the leaders now. We've got Rosenberger and Schaffer fighting for the lead, and then they are nearly 5 seconds clear now of Georg Silbermeier.
He's continuing. He just passed the start-finish.
There is the puncture.
There's something loose on the right rear of the car. It looks like the fender is loose. But it's strange that he didn't enter the pits.
Yes, I can't explain that, I'm afraid. I don't know why he didn't come in to get it changed. Maybe he's hoping for a safety car or something, I don't know. But he's running right at the back now, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen. And he's not going to gain any more time with the car as damaged as it is.
Absolutely, very unfortunate. It's a very strange picture, especially in the Crossbow Cup Europe, because we have very, very close races normally. So, but today everything's going, time difference is going up a little bit. So it's really interesting if they struggle with the tires, or I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, maybe the drivers that are pulling away now are going to struggle with the tyres later, and they might come back to the others. There are two ways of attacking it if you're worried about the tyre wear, I suppose. Everyone's kind of pairing off into these little 2x2 battles, two cars fighting for the lead, then these two, Silbermeyer and Koller, third and fourth, and then the next two cars are the two Crossbow Cup Europe leaders, Buthorn and Tamino Bergmeier, and then behind them another two cars. Mothajura is ahead of Jan Ries now, actually, so there's a change for third place there in the Cup class. So Jan Ries dropping back, and that's a surprise. He hasn't looked quite as comfortable here, has he, Jan, as he did at Slovakia?
And now there's the attack for the Crossbow Cup Europe lead. Tamino is attacking Rick, but on the outside it will be very difficult. Can they make it?
Not that time, so Rick Buthorn hangs on, but Tamino Bergmeier is doing his best to get through. You get a decent slipstream in these cars, I imagine, up the straights, so that will allow him to get close, and the trouble is that it's quite easy to defend into most of the obvious overtaking opportunities.
We can see that the fastest lap in Crossbow Cup, or the last lap, the fastest lap in the Crossbow Cup Europe was done by Leon Wasserteurer. So he's gaining a little bit on those two in front of him. There's Bob Bauer still running.
Yes, he's limping around with this damage. I really don't understand what how he's benefiting here from staying on the track. I don't know if that is a puncture though, because the tyre seems inflated still.
Yeah, I think he wants to just stay in the race and finish for getting points for the championship, maybe.
Yes, he is. Well, yes, he's leading the championship in the elite class by about 10 points.
He would get the points for the fourth place.
That's true.
So maybe that's the plan.
Maybe. But he's definitely the slowest car on the track. His lap times are nearly a minute off the lap times of the race leaders, who are heading through turn 4 now, and Christian Schaffer is a little bit closer this time to the GT4 spec car of Chris Rosenberger. And this is the part of the circuit where the lighter elite class car could have an advantage. The trouble is that this isn't where you do any overtaking, so you can get close, but when it gets to the tight corners at turn 3 and turn 4, he's never really close enough to actually have a go.
Yeah, I mean, it gets difficult to overtake the GT4 car with the ABS under braking. So, but let's see, he's very close. Meanwhile, Leon Wasserteurer did again the fastest lap in the Crossbow Cup Europe race, more than half a second faster than those two in front of him. So he's closing in. I mean, it's still 2.8 seconds to catch Tamino Bergmeier, but
yeah, he's in the 139s though, and he's the only Crossbow Cup Europe driver in the 139, so definitely getting stronger, and he overtook Jan Ries only 2 or 3 laps ago, and he's already 2.2 seconds ahead of him, so yeah, Leon definitely is the fastest driver in the field, and again that time he's down in the 139s, but so actually was the class leader Rick Buthorn, who's now over a second ahead of Tamino Bergmeier.
There we saw Leon, and you can already see that he's closing in now.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Christian Schäfer did the fastest lap of the race overall with 1:37.154.
And he's forced a little mistake there out of the race leader, who's in the gravel. Yes. So that fastest lap that he just put in has got him the race lead. Nicely done. Well, if you can't outbrake the GT4 car, force it into a mistake. That's one way of getting through, and it's worked really well there.
Yeah, absolutely. That worked well. Very uncommon to see a mistake from Chris, but he did it, and now he's only second. Still leading GT4, obviously, but I know Chris, he wants to have the overall win, so I don't expect him to let Christian go. So it could be interesting 9 minutes left now. Yeah, just a little bit too late on the brakes, and then a little bit wide, and perfectly executed overtake by Christian.
Yeah, all of the ABS in the world wasn't going to stop that car then, so he's now behind the elite class car for the first time this weekend, really, because he led all the way yesterday. It was always very close, but he was never actually overtaken in race one. So now we get to see exactly what he can do. He's in the slipstream. Christian Schäfer is weaving around up the hill towards turn 3, but this is where the ABS can help the GT4 car. Look how much later on the brakes he is, but he's got to go the long way round because Christian is never going to give him the inside line. They're side by side off the corner, but it is the green car that just about stays ahead. Now it's a drag down the hill again. They're pretty equal in a straight line here. The GT4 car maybe drawing ahead slightly though. And is he about to get the lead back? This is where he ran wide a lap ago. No such mistake this time, and he's back in the race lead.
And that was a perfect example for using the ABS braking. You saw him braking a lot later than Christian in the elite class car.
So into the lead then goes Chris Rosenberger again, and with the fastest first sector of the race, Bob Baugh just trying his best to stay out of the way now, isn't he?
He's still there, at least.
Yes, he's not going to be having an enjoyable afternoon necessarily, but it will score him some points. Here's the replay of that move, and you can just see how much more confident he is on the brakes on the outside.
I mean, that braking zone here at the Red Bull Ring is especially difficult with the elite class car because you're braking downhill, and that's without the ABS is really something where you need a big heart. So
yeah, it's a tricky corner, that steep downhill, and easy to run wide on the exit, as Rosenberger did a couple of laps ago. So Rosenberger back to the lead, and this is still the fight for third place. Georg Silbermeier and Joseph Kohler, who again have not been separated by much all race long, really. Rick Buthorn still leading in the Cup Europe part of the race. Tamino Bergmeier closing back in again now. He's less than a second behind. But still the two of them are slower than Leon Vasacuri. If Leon hadn't lost so much time at the start of the race, he would probably have been right there with them by now. But,
yeah, but maybe what you mentioned at the beginning of the race, maybe Leon managed his tires better, and now at the end of the race he's really closing in, and there is 3 seconds between those three, so between Rick, Tamino and Leon.
Yeah, and also I noticed back into 10th place overall, but that's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th in the Crossbow Cup Europe is Daniel Drexel after that off that he had on the first lap, and he's done well actually to pick his way back up into that position. I don't think he'll get any higher though, because he's 22 seconds now behind the top 5 in class.
But I think for him it's quite important because he overtook his father, so that's in the father-son duel that they have, so catched him.
Yeah, that will go down very well for Daniel, maybe not for Clements, but Daniel will be happy to be in front. Here is the lead battle then still, and it's definitely getting closer, isn't it? Looks like Tamino Bergmeier is coming back at him now.
It is getting closer, absolutely.
Full commitment there through that final corner. It's a brilliant turn. You really carry the speed down the hill. And
with those light cars weighing just 830 kilograms with the driver, he's attacking. Leon is attacking Rick, but the outside move doesn't work there.
I'm afraid. If he got the exit, maybe. Well, no, not really. They're still single file, but again, that slipstream now starts to bring them closer together again on this long run towards turn 3, and Tamino has a look to the inside. That doesn't work, goes to the outside. I don't think that's going to work either, because Rick Buthorn has the defensive line covered, but the wide line in for Bergmeier gives him the faster speed off the corner. It's so frustrating because immediately Buthorn pulls to the inside and defends. Even though Tamino Bergmeier is a bit quicker, he just can't break through the defences. Looks to the inside and then back to the outside again. Now can he get the switch back here, get back underneath into turn 5, carries more speed through the corner, but there's just nowhere to go, or is there? There's a gap on the inside line, and Tamino Bergmeier has a run, but the next corner is a left-hander, and that favours the 85 machine, which muscles its way back through. Great racing this.
Yes, absolutely, and it's fair racing, thankfully. It's and you can see Leon Wassertore closing in now really, really fast because they are blocking each other, and That's what Leon was hoping for, I think, and maybe we can see a three-way fight for the lead or for the win now during those last 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, well, he was 3/4 of a second quicker than the class leader in the first sector alone because of the side-by-side racing that was going on. I think by the end of this lap, he's almost going to be with them. Look at this, 3 cars for the class lead then, and for the overall race lead, Christian Schäfer has not given up. He still wants to try and get past Chris Rosenberger. They wave at Bob Bauer as they put another lap on him out of turn number 3. You don't know where to look in this race, do you? There may not be that many cars.
I think now we would need a split screen.
Yes, exactly.
For the Cup Europe and also for the overall lead.
No, precisely. It may not be a massive grid, but it's still very entertaining racing, and that is what the core principle of this championship is. Here we go again.
I think now he can...
Oh no, so late on the brakes. Look at that, fantastic stuff from Rick Boothorn. And now that Leon Basatura has arrived on the tail, this might distract Tamino Bergmeier, actually. This might help the class leader. Let's see if it works then. Up the hill, or down the hill I should say, into turn number 4, and Bergmeier will want to get this done before Basatura arrives, but that's too late now. He's there, there's almost a bit of contact.
A little bit of touching.
This is great defensive driving, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So back into the middle sector then, and now, yeah, Basatura is attacking. So Leon was about 3 seconds behind these two at one point.
But you also have to praise Tamino because, you know, as a racing driver, I think it's really, in this situation, you think about giving him a little bit of a push through the corner, but he didn't do it, so he's really fair. And now I hope that Bob Bauer isn't in the way for the fight for the lead, because they are just closing in on him.
They're going to catch him at the final corner. That's the worst place to catch a slower car, and it will hold them up a little bit. Yeah, 1 or 2 of them not very happy about that, but Bob Bauer got out of the way. And now all 3 of them are together onto the penultimate lap, probably.
Yeah.
So 2 more laps to go, and any one of these 3 could still win it.
Absolutely, that's spectacular racing, and that's really what we expected here at the Red Bull Ring with the slipstream and with the cars, with the spec cars. Everybody got exactly the same, so...
And now Tamino flashing the lights. Yes, it's trying to distract the race leader, which is usually a sign that you're getting a bit desperate. And here comes Basatura up the inside. Almost.
Was a little bit of a touch, I think.
That was very close, but it's Leon that's come off worst, really, because he had to hit the brakes to avoid contact. And now Bergmeier has the run again on Boothorn. They're side by side for the lead, and he's got his nose in front, but on the wrong side of the road. This is so frustrating. Can he go right round the outside? This is brave, but it can be done. He gets shoved out onto the curb.
It's not enough. No, it's not enough.
And then
I think he missed the gear. I think he missed the gear now out here of turn 3, because he suddenly lost...
Oh, and that's Josef Koller. So that's from 4th place overall. So then it's all going on now at the end of the race. So he's got a problem.
We are already in the final lap, it seems. Because Chris Rosenberger and Christian Schäfer have already passed the finish line. That means we got 1 lap left for those 3 fighting for the win in the Crossbar Cup Europe class.
It's worth mentioning as well that at the very front of the field, Christian Schäfer is still right behind. Look, he's right with Rosenberger. He's running out of time now. I think Christian will be frustrated if he doesn't win one of the races this weekend, because he's been quick. He's pulling alongside again, but we know how good the GT4 car is under braking.
I mean, he's winning the elite class. He's winning his class for sure. I mean, if he doesn't make a mistake now. But obviously, if you are that close, you also want to win overall.
Oh, he's got a run here, and this is the section where the elite car is better, but I think Rosenberger should be able to defend this to the line now. Great racing.
Yeah, but I think that's it. I think that is he's too far away now. I don't think that this works out. No. Should have a look back to the Crossbar Cup Europe class.
Yeah, that's still very tight between those 3. It's still the same order, the Boothorn, Bergmeier and Basatura. The overall leader, though, Chris Rosenberger, comes out of the final corner, and it's going to be a double race victory here at the Red Bull Ring in the KTM Crossbow Battle. The GT4 car wins once again, with Christian Schaefer behind him, winning in the elite class. And this is the battle we wanted to see. It is still Rick Boothorn in front. Is there anything that Tamino Bergmeier can do? He's caught back up again after that mistake he made a lap ago, but I don't think he's quite going to have time.
I'm afraid it's also here it's a little bit too much of a distance for a final attack. If Rick doesn't make a mistake now in the last two corners, he can make it stick and win.
Yeah, well, he doesn't make many mistakes, does Rick Boothorn, and he hasn't made any here either. So the victory in the KTM Crossbow Cup Europe class goes to Rick Boothorn. Hopefully he'll keep it this time. Second place for Tamino Bergmeier and Leon Basatura in third position. Well, great racing there, Manfred, throughout both of the, or three of the classes really. Everyone involved in a good battle, and there were other battles going on that we just couldn't show you because there was too much going on. That is exactly what we like to see.
Very fair racing also, no touching, no turning around of other cars, so that's what we want to see. And yeah, we will have a second outing here at the Red Bull Ring in the beginning of October. We will join the Histo Cup Austria for our final races 5 and 6 of this short season. And then we hope that we see a little bit more competitors there at the final race, and then hopefully next year we can go up again with the starting numbers.
Yeah, I'm sure that the grid numbers will grow again in the future. This is such a great championship, and I think every series is suffering a little bit in 2020, but we still have racing, we still have good racing, and it's still a hard category to win in, clearly, but Chris Rosenberger has been able to take a double race victory, and Christian Schaefer is, if he couldn't win the race, he's at least going to be the first car back to the pit lane. That's the one race that he can win.
Absolutely, and he's won the elite class, so really good effort by him and by CCS Racing. And also really good weekend for automotive performance for the team of Chris Rosenberger. They are new to racing this year, and a great car, great GT4 car, and obviously also a great driver. And compliments again to the guys in Crossbow Cup Europe. It was really an exciting race, and we hope to see the same in October here at Red Bull Ring. Thank you very much for having me, and yeah, see you hopefully soon next year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's been a fantastic weekend of racing. Here is your result then. Chris Rosenberger and Christian Schaefer first and second. Georg Silbermeier third. Rick Boothorn in fourth. And Tamino Bergmeier rounds out that top five. Leon Basatura is sixth. Jan Ries seventh. Stefan Ramazda is eighth. Then it was Daniel Drexel and Josef Koller who dropped down to 10th place with that mystery problem at the end of the race. Clemens Drexel was 11th, Thomas Wallasch was 12th, and of course Bob Bow is classified 3 laps down in 13th and will at least score a few championship points. The elite class, of course, that's the first time that Bob hasn't won this year. So Bob Bow, who had been undefeated, and Christian Schaefer was only third in the championship, so that class victory will certainly help him going into those final 2 races, because there are only 6 races this year. It's quite important actually that they've been able to narrow the gap going down to the last few rounds of the season. Well, that is, I think, all of the action here from the Red Bull Ring with the KTM Crossbow Battle. We'll show you first, though, some of the highlights, I believe, of that very entertaining second race where Chris Rosenberger had the lead into turn number 1 and tried to pull away, but Christian Schaefer in the green car was having none of it. He ran a bit wide through turn 1, forced his way ahead of the number 1 car of championship leader Bob Bow and got into second place, immediately setting off after the race leader. There was the usual close racing through the first few corners in the Cup Europe class. It was Rick Boothorn and Tamino Bergmeier who were locked together at the front of the field, whilst Daniel Drexel had a moment running through the gravel in the early stages. Great scrapping all around, and then Bob Bow had a spin going through the final corner. Damage to the right rear meant that he was running slowly for the rest of the race after that point. on multiple occasions it was side by side for the Crossbow Cup Europe lead, but every time Tomino Bergmeyer pulled alongside Rick Boothorn, Rick seemed to have an answer for him and was able to hang on to the place, whilst at the front of the field there was a rare mistake for Chris Rosenberger. He ran wide through the gravel at turn 4, and Christian Schaefer got his green number 9 machine into the lead of the class. Didn't last that long though. Rosenberger was able to drag straight back alongside him a lap later, and with the superior braking ability of the GT4 car, he was able to go around the outside at turn 4 and take the lead. A great battle between the two of them though, and Chris Rosenberger it was that came home with the race win. Christian Schaefer in second place wins the elite class, and Rick Boothorn gets a race victory in the Crossbow Cup Europe. Well, thank you for joining us this weekend at the Red Bull Ring. We've had some outstanding racing from the KTM Crossbow Battle in both races, and we look forward to their championship decider here a bit later on in the year. For now, though, from myself and Manfred Wolf, that is all we have time for. Hope you've enjoyed the coverage. We'll see you again next time.